Greetings, my fellow freedom lovers, sovereign thinkers. Thank you for tuning in to LL3 Podcast. My name is Craig, transmitting from the beautiful swampy Mangrove of South Florida. And today's date is Thursday, February 27th, 2020. Yep, it's Thursday evening to be exact. Just hanging out in the downtown area of Fort Lauderdale. In my little camper. Pretty quiet. Train came by a little bit before the show started. It's all well and good. Yeah, a lot of stuff is happening. Extradition case of Julian Assange still going. Haven't heard any decisions yet. But if it's based on a political offense, it does violate the treaty between the U.S. and UK when it comes to extradition. And it is unconstitutional also. Freedom of the press. Not just the United States Constitution, but common law, international law. And it looks like Weinstein is serving time. He may not get Epsteined. I'm going to have to look at that article later from Mind Unleashed. May be talking about that next day. We'll just see what happens. Of course, everyone's talking about the coronavirus. And it's interesting about that because I've looked into it a little bit more about Pilbright Institute. They have a patent for it, but they didn't have anything for humans, okay, being ill. And it was interesting, there's a German named Spiro, I think his name is. Yeah, I think it's Spiro Sakaus. I may be pronouncing his name incorrectly. But he's an activist post. He's on News Buds. He follows me on Spreaker, by the way, which is cool. Did an interview with Professor Patrick Doyle pertaining to the Bioweapons Act, which he's convinced that there was evidence stating that the Chinese government did a little business deal with some scientists from the University of North Carolina. It's clear a good big scandal, and he deserved, there should be due process, prison time, and all that. Life in prison, to be exact. Making weapons or being involved and contributing. So it's really interesting because with this whole thing with this latest virus, there's like multiple brands of coronaviruses. And Pilbright Institute explained that. Even though it may be controversial, but it's always good to observe responsibly because not everyone in that facility are wicked individuals or mad scientists, etc. You always have folks that are trying to help humanity, and you got others that want to decimate it. But the bottom line is, the whole breakout, Italy and all that, and I know Spiro did talk about the military games that happened in October of 2019 in Wuhan, China. Interesting there. What a coincidence, right? So many people may be infected, don't even know about it. So the bottom line is, always, like I say, always stay vigilant with your health. Be active. One thing about bacteria and viruses, they hate when you sweat it out. Okay? They hate that. Always have a strong immune system, too. Don't go around partying and highly indulged. I'm not telling people what to do, but I'm giving you the facts. If you're going to be dumb, stagnant, and happy, you're going to get idle results. Especially when it comes to your health. Listening to the show on Mike Adams, the Health Ranger. He's really good. I think Health Ranger News or naturalnews.com. He's really good. Mike Adams, he's always talking about how to fight it, battle it, and we shouldn't live in fear because, remember, they all talk about these other epidemics that happen with the AIDS virus and, of course, the Ebola, again, coming out. Everyone's like wigging, panicking. Yeah, you gotta be concerned, but don't have that fear reaction. There's a lot of areas maybe getting affected more, especially the big metropolitan cities. That can happen. There's even claims, too, that, by some sources, that they possibly maybe cremating bodies here in the United States. Hopefully that's not the case, but there's some controversy with that, some questions. Everything's a mystery right now when it comes to coronavirus in the United States, because there are cases in California, possible Hawaii, Texas, even Florida, but maybe other places, possibly Nebraska too. So how accurate is the case? Are these numbers? We don't know for sure. So don't just wig out. Prep yourself. Economically, a lot of imports from China may be stopped, maybe on a halt. Well, it proves one thing, my friends. When it comes to the economy, globalism sucks. And I'm expecting a good solution is to get the economy going, shop locally. Expect more people to start doing restoring, refurbishing, use equipment, vacuums, and refrigerators. My father done that. Many other people done that. My father used to, he was a mechanic. He picked up his refrigerator, threw it in the apartments in Brooklyn, tinkered with it, and got the unit running. Tom may have to go back to that mindset once again. I think so. I think it's good to do. It's good to know these things. Always gotta prep up and expect even the stocks to crash. It has happened before. A lot of us been talking about that for a very long time. But don't wig out. Remain calm. Prep yourselves. Make sure people you love are aware and ready for this. So, and even too, on an article with David Icke, if you're on technocracy.com, it's a good site to check out as well, about how the coronavirus and the 5G goes, there's a connection there, goes hand in hand. High radiation, microwaves, can affect the immune system as well. More people get sick. So when they say, "Oh, stay inside," that means just die. Don't do a damn thing with your life. Do everything the opposite because we tell you the best. So, nutrition, natural medicines. Mother Nature is a lot more complex than what we know. We have to go back to the old school of natural remedies. A lot of foods out there can end sickness and does fight sickness. Personally, myself, been blessed. Really been sick. So, like I said, you gotta be vigilant. Build up your immune system, folks. Especially for the youngins out there. My father was telling me, take care of your health. Because he had his problems living in the streets of New York in the 50s. Been through all the gang stuff on Hell's Kitchen. So I'll just give you an example of his life. He had his ordeals, his vices. So it says always take care of yourself. So always praise him for that. Drove me crazy too, it's okay. He's not forever free. But, yeah, enough of my little rant here, because I was a little bit undecided what I want to talk about. So, actually, I just taken the initiative on examining what's going on in the volunteer state, which is known as Tennessee. So then, mainly about constitutional carry legislation. So we're going to talk about mainly that. Tennessee's introduced constitutional carry legislation. Actually, Governor Bill Lee, brought it up, and it came out from the newsroom here, from their own his own governor's website. came out. Started, 1 p.m. Says here, Tennessee to protect Second Amendment rights and make communities safer. So as it reads here, Nashville, the capital itself. Today, Governor Bill Lee announced that he's proposing legislation to advance the Second Amendment rights of law-abiding Tennesseans by implementing a constitutional carry law. The Second Amendment is clear and concise and secures the freedoms of law-abiding citizens to keep and bear arms, said Governor Bill Lee. I am pleased to announce constitutional carry legislation today that will protect the Second Amendment rights of Tennesseans. It should always use natural rights, okay? Just that Second Amendment. Yeah, good buzzword. Remember, these are preconditioned, okay? So we were born with these inherited rights. But I will continue on here. While also stiffing penalties on criminals who steal and illegally possess firearms. I appreciate Lieutenant Governor McNally and Speaker Sexton for helping to lead the way on this important issue. The governor's legislation would extend the constitutional right to carry a handgun to all law-abiding citizens with or without a permit who are 21 and older, except in current restricted areas, a la gun-free zones. The legislation also includes several increased penalties for firearm-related crimes to promote public safety, including increasing the penalty for theft of a firearm to a felony, providing sentencing enhancement for theft of a firearm in a car, increasing the minimum sentence for theft of a firearm from 30 days to 180 days, increasing the sentences for unlawful possession of a firearm by violent felons and felony drug offenders, possession of a handgun by a felon, and unlawfully providing a handgun to a juvenile or allowing a juvenile to possess a handgun. There's some catch-22s there. What constitutes a felon? That's the thing. Violent felons, all that, yeah. Violent felons, absolutely. But I'll just explain that later. And it says here, a big part of protecting the Second Amendment for law-abiding citizens cracking down on criminals who use guns. We will make sure that those who commit crimes with firearms serve their full sentences and nothing less. Many states across the nation are moving toward permitless carry, and I support the governor in this initiative, said Lieutenant Governor Randy McNally. The legislation ensures that law-abiding citizens have a constitutional right to carry their handgun. But if you're a violent criminal, felon, or drug dealer, there will be no tolerance for unlawful gun possession here in Tennessee, said Speaker Cameron Sexton. I applaud Governor Lee's commitment to Tennessee's Second Amendment rights guaranteed by U.S. and state constitutions. This proposal will reduce barriers to ensure citizens have the ability to protect themselves and their families while imposing stiffer penalties against criminals who possess guns illegally, said Senate Majority Leader Jack Johnson. This constitutional carry package is historic because not only it does uphold the freedoms granted to us by our nation's founding fathers, it also imposes mandatory minimum sentencing guidelines on bad guys who illegally obtain or use handguns, said House Majority Leader William Lamberth. I wish to thank the National Rifle Association for their work over the years in making today a reality, and I look forward to working with Governor Lee as well as my House and Senate colleagues to get constitutional carry passed in Tennessee. See, the one thing about it, sometimes you can't really combine right to carry to crime-related legislation. It's you can't really combine them both. They have to be separate. And it's funny, in the past, National Rifle Association wasn't really crazy about this constitutional carry. And I remember Vermont was the first one to do that in 1993. Then Alaska got involved. So it was done by a Democrat from Anchorage, Alaska, Eric Croft. Well, I rang a bell, Eric Croft. And it was veto-proof. according to Alaska's gun laws. Alaska's Constitution. So I'll just give you guys a couple of things on this. So, what's interesting about this is it's some pros and cons. But I'll hit the next one here to be a little bit more self-explanatory. And it says here, this is from the Tennessean.com. Ah, shoot. Whoop, stop. From the Tennessean.com. And it reads here, business owners, lawmakers react to Governor Bill Lee's gun rights legislation. This is from Anita Wanani and Jamie McGee. And I guess I goofed up here. Hold on, I'm gonna boom, take this out and do this again and bam. Reload this for a moment. There it is. I made an honest mistake. Once again. Okay, good. Stay there. One moment. Okay. Yes. And it says here, business owners, lawmakers react to Governor Bill Lee's gun rights legislation. Knocking for proposed new gun rights legislation by Governor Bill Lee. There is already speaking reaction. Lee's plan would allow legal gun owners to freely carry weapons, either concealed or open, without a special permit. If enacted, Tennessee would join 16 other states that will allow some form of permitless carry, according to the National Rifle Association. Gun owners will still need to legally obtain a firearm. Federal law requires background checks for most gun purchases, although there are loopholes. It's so funny. Also, there are loopholes. That's more penile microphone rhetoric. Go figure, it's the press. To buy a firearm, a person must submit to a background check by the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation. To obtain a handgun carry permit, individuals must pass a fingerprint background check, so you're incriminating yourselves, folks, by Tennessee Department of Safety and Homeland Security. I'm sorry. How contradicting is that, right? And complete a Tennessee handgun safety course. More like a privilege to me. A law that went into effect January 1st now allows Tennesseans to take the 90-minute course online. Lee said that this proposal would allow a legal gun owner to carry a firearm with or without one of these permits. Opponents also call the specter of citizens toting handguns as they walk through Tennessee public spaces alarming and dangerous. Senator Ramesh Akbari, Senate Democratic Caucus Chairwoman, called the legislation a bad idea that endangers every Tennessean. That's what Jim Crow said about the black people shouldn't own firearms, huh? That's the thing about that. Whether you live in a city or a suburb, no family is made safer by laws that encourage more untrained and unlicensed people to carry lethal firearms. Tennesseans support the Second Amendment, but, I love that term, but, they also believe firmly in responsible gun ownership and policies. Well, we support every firearm safety is everyone's responsibility. I'm not going to refute that. But policies, okay? Like mandatory background checks and promote accountability. So you say, a lot of people here are a bunch of morons. You don't know better, but the government that's in Nashville know best. District Attorney in Memphis and Nashville issued statements on Thursday opposing permitless carry proposals. Nashville District Attorney Glenn Funk said it will result in more dangerous environment for Tennessee families. Could you prove to me the police are obligated to protect your constituents in Nashville? No. You can't, Mr. Funk. And of course, Memphis. You know how Memphis has its ordeals as well. Prove to me that the police are obligated to protect your constituents in that city as well. Or the rest of the state of Tennessee. So, says here, John Harris, executive order of the Tennessee Firearms Association, dismissed those concerns. There's no data at all to show that having a fee-based permitting system makes us safer, he said. We are optimistic that is going to be something that we pushed for many years now, he said. What's in the proposal? The initiative which Lee and the Republicans in the General Assembly are referring to as constitutional carry law would allow for both open and concealed carry of firearms for people 21 and older. So, according to information distributed to members on Thursday, permitless carry rights would also be extended to military members who are from 18 to 20. So if you're not in the military, you're still a semi-juvenile, a semi-minor. Oh yeah, so there's a discrepancy in that as well, folks. And I'm not going to bash military members on this, but it's legislation. The governor's legislation would also make theft of a firearm a felony, an offense that is currently a misdemeanor in Tennessee. It also mandates a 6-month incarceration sentence for the crime, up from current 30-day requirement. Sentencing will be enhanced when a gun is stolen from a car, as well as for providing a handgun to a juvenile and unlawful possession of a handgun by a felony. So we have to look at this particular bill that we want to talk about to see what's the clarification on that. Individuals with felony convictions, orders of protection against them, or domestic violence convictions won't qualify for permitless carry. Orders of protections against them. That's another controversy there as well. What constitutes felony convictions? So that's the thing. Violent felons, possible. But, I'm just like, those are probably, if you consider holes, okay? Outdoor public spaces like parks, greenways, and campgrounds would be exceptions to the permitless carry provision, along with areas where carry guns is currently restricted, such as schools, courts, and government buildings. Businesses can still prohibit guns with the posted sign. Property rights, like it or not, folks, that's fair enough. Property rights. But the proposal would allow gun owners to walk freely with guns outside the doors to local businesses, schools, and other public places. A man dubbed Randor like Rambo reportedly sparked public alarm by pacing the sidewalks while carrying a rifle in front of Vanderbilt University, Hillsborough High School, and downtown business in 2014. Leonard Embody, who at the time possessed a concealed carry permit, also carried Second Amendment pamphlets. Each time if he appeared, multiple Metro Police were dispatched to monitor his behavior. Well, interesting about that, Mr. Embody, he's educating people. Okay? Education, not intimidation. And I do agree with him on that, respectfully. Business owners respond. Nashville business owners responded cautiously to the proposal. Brad Sanderson, who owns the stage on Broadway and Nashville Crossroads, said he already bans firearms from his business, so the new legislation would not impact him. I personally don't see that it changes anything for business owners, at least in my line of work, he said. We don't allow firearms anyway and have posted it at our entrances. And hopefully, knock on wood, it won't be a criminal invitation zone. So be vigilant there, my friend. Downtown residential developer Tony Gariranta said he doesn't have any concerns about permitless carry impacting his properties, including the 505, but he said, I feel carry permit process is important, that the training should be mandatory. Well, respectfully, it's up to every individual who owns a firearm to do the training on their own free will instead of making it mandatory. It's called, my friend, involuntary servitude. And I will talk about that. Phil Martin, owner of Bourbon Street Blues and Boogie Bar and Bowie's, said he's in favor of permitless carry laws for law-abiding citizens because of safety concerns downtown. He does not allow guns in his establishment, and those seen with firearms are asked to leave. I'm fine with that, but I don't want any guns in the bar, Martin said. If patrons are concealing a firearm, there's no way to know if they have a gun, which is a concern. And Martin, who does not carry a gun, but with heavy crime downtown, he wants people to be able to protect themselves if they want to. It's not safe, Martin said. The people who work with us day to day, we walk them to their car or transportation. We don't let people go by themselves. But Randy Rayburn, a longtime Nashville restaurateur known for Midtown Cafe and Cabana, criticizes the measure part of a fringe perspective. This particular bill has been held up in previous sessions and is part of a fringe perspective that only a few other states believe, and it has very different potential for urban versus rural counties for its impact on safety, he said. In a statement, the Tennessee Farm Association said it remains optimistic but extremely guarded as to whether it could support the bill. Without the opportunity to actually see the devil in the details regarding the bill itself, it is still impossible to say whether the bill is a pro-Second Amendment bill, as the governor and the legislative speaker suggested. So-called permitless gun laws have been appearing in the state legislatures across the country. At least 16 states allow some form of permitless carry, according to the National Rifle Association. Alaska became the first state to enact permitless carry legislation in 2013. No, actually, it's 2003. Like I said before, folks, this is right there. They made a discrepancy. Vermont, 1993, and Alaska was around 2003. Eric Croft, Democrat from Anchorage, authored that bill. So I'll just let you folks know. You can look it up yourselves, please. In Oklahoma, which enacted permitless carry in November 2019, an effort to put a repeal referendum on the ballot is being challenged by gun rights supporters. These plans diverge sharply with his predecessor, former Governor Bill Haslam. When a similar measure was introduced in 2016, Haslam and his political appointees, including the head of the Tennessee Highway Patrol, opposed the measure. It was ultimately defeated before it could advance out of the legislative committee. Go figure. Go figure. He is a police officer. They don't want citizens to arm themselves. So, those are the areas. I see some discrepancies on that, and based on what they're saying. And I'm going to read here, TennesseeFarms.com, Tennessee Farms Association, and as it reads here, on this proposal, Governor Bill Lee announced his sudden support for constitutional changes carry. And other changes is by the Tennessee Farm Association. Came out today. Over the last few weeks, Tennessee Farm Association and his legislative friends have repeatedly been made aware that a major announcement was coming soon on a Second Amendment issue. TFA was told from its resources that TFA members would be very likely to be pleased with the legislation. This week, TFA was made aware that a major announcement would likely occur as the legislature concluded its standard business activities on Thursday. Woo! Sorry about that, folks. During an 11 a.m. press conference, Governor Lee discussed some of the aspects of a potential significant change in Tennessee law that could eliminate the need for a person who... oh, man. Sorry about that. Change in Tennessee that could eliminate the need for a person who can otherwise legally possess a firearm to have a state-issued permit in order to carry it in Tennessee. I'm sneezing pretty bad here. Sorry. During the press conference in which Governor Lee was surrounded by many apparently excited legislators, the governor addressed his new proposal regarding constitutional carry. The presentation appeared to be a pre-written speech starting off with a duty of legislators to follow the Constitution. Governor Lee announced that this was being introduced as an administration bill. Governor Lee announced that Tennessee would be joining 16 other states that have already adopted constitutional carry. The legislation would apply to those 21 age and up and would not allow carry in prohibited places, i.e. gun-free zones, or criminal invitation zones, I call it. Governor Lee also introduced that the would materially increase criminal penalties on those who steal or illegally possess a firearm. His comments did not indicate whether such harsher penalties will apply to those who can otherwise carry a firearm legally, but inadvertently to do on of those gun-free zones or otherwise engage in nonviolent conduct, but incidentally possess a firearm. Speaker Sexton spoke on this bill and announced it was a great day in law enforcement because this new law would be a new tool for law enforcement to take guns out of the hands of undefined criminals. Chairman Mike Bell spoke on the bill. He congratulated the governor for his leadership on bringing this bill. Chairman Bell stated it was time for Tennessee's elected officials to start trusting Tennesseans. Chairman William Lambert next spoke on the bill. He claimed the bill was perhaps the first of its kind in the nation. He did not emphasize that the penalties will call for a very, very long time in prison sentences for those who commit crimes with guns. Senator John Stevens, who voted to kill a constitutional carry bill in 2016, when offered by Senator Mark Green, spoke in favor of the governor's bill. When the choreographed presentation concluded, Governor Lee then invited questions. He indicated that Tennessee's law enforcement was supportive of the provisions which strengthen criminal penalties. Governor Lee did state that the draft of the bill has been completed and given to the legislator. However, at the time of the press statement, the amendment was apparently not available for public inspection on the legislature's website. Interesting there, right? He did suggest that the bill might be available within a day or two. To anyone in Tennessee, if you could send it to me, it'd be great. I'll just have to keep tabs on this. However, he seemed to emphasize that increased penalty provisions was a major focus of the forthcoming legislation. After hearing the press announcement and without the opportunity to actually see the devil in the details, regarding the bill itself, it is still impossible to say whether the bill is as pro-Second Amendment as the governor and the legislative speakers suggest. Certainly they have information that is not publicly available at this time. Exactly. You gotta always, don't just say, you do, you display. You're the servants. Governor Lee and his compadres, right? TFA remains optimistic but extremely guarded as to whether it could support all of the bill. One reason that is not clear at this time whether the legislator or the governor would even favorably consider input or amendments from the public. One thing Governor Lee did not address the presentation this morning was from the state capitol. The state capitol is solely as a result of Governor Lee's choice a gun-free zone, whereas the legislative office in the Cordell Hall building are an area where permit holders can carry, although limited to concealed carry. TFA is having a Second Amendment rally on March 10th, and part of that rally is scheduled to take place in the Capitol. So the question remains, in light of the speech that Governor Lee read this morning, will Bill Lee reverse his decision to allow handgun permit holders to carry their firearms in the Capitol after today, since he stated in his speech? The Second Amendment provides that the right shall not be infringed. We encourage all TFA and Second Amendment supporters to contact Governor Lee's office at 615-741-2001 and ask him that question. Yeah, that's a legitimate question. Like, the whole thing is, my friends, they try to sell you a product, they use rhetoric, but where's the fine print? So, I will have to commend TFA on that. Don't follow the hype, folks. I want to read everything on its face, or prima facie. And it's funny because they want to do some training as well. You have to have a mandatory training. And that's considered unconstitutional in their own state supreme law. So, without further ado, what I'm gonna do here, we're gonna do a little. We're gonna do a little touch tabs on the Tennessee Constitution. And it says here, Article 1, Section 1, Article 1, Declaration of Rights. Section 1 says here that all power is inherited in the people, and all free governments are founded on their authority and institute for their peace and safety and happiness. For the advancement of those ends, they have at all times is inalienable and indefeasible right to alter, reform, or abolish a government in such a manner as they may think proper. What Section 2 has to say, that government being instituted for the common benefit, the doctrine of non-resistance against arbitrary power and oppression is absurd, slavish, and destructive of the good and happiness of mankind. Alright, then we go see here on Section 5, as it reads here, the election shall be free and equal, and the right of suffrage, as hereafter declared, shall never be deemed to any person entitled thereto, except upon a conviction by a jury of some infamous crime, previously ascertained and declared by law, and judgment thereon by court of competent jurisdiction. That's for felons and all that, so that's why that's in there. And let's see what I have to say here is number 8. No man shall be taken or imprisoned or disseized of his freehold liberties or privileges, or outlawed, or exiled, or in any manner destroyed or deprived of his life, liberty, or property, but by the judgment of his peers or the law of the land. So that's like due process. Alright, and the fingerprinting is questions on that. Let's see what 11 has to say. These laws are made for punishment acts committed to previous to the existence of such laws, and by them not only declare criminal, one contrary to the principle of a free government, wherefore no ex post facto law shall be made. So you have to always look at that, because crime laws and all that considered ex post facto laws, and that's why maybe with the whole training thing, they consider considered illegal. And of course, if you look at 12. No conviction shall work corruption of blood or forfeit of the state of such person as shall destroy their own lives shall descend or vest, as in the case of natural death. If any person can be killed by casualty, there will be no forfeiture and consequence thereof. So I'm just going to go a little bit further down here. And I'm looking right here. Hold on. Okay, let's see what number 20 has to say. There are no retrospective law or law impairing the obligation of contract shall be made. So if you see that he's like mandatory training, that's considered ex post facto law, and retrospective law, invalid contract. So you can challenge that as well. And let's see what 24 has to say here. Section 24 of this. That the sure and certain defense of a free people is a well-regulated militia, and as standing armies in a time of peace are dangerous to freedom, they ought to be avoided as far as the circumstances and safety of the community will admit that in all the cases the military shall be kept in strict subordination to the minority. So, to the civil authority. So militias, you want to get people ready. Sometimes these little restrictions and all that can be controversial, just to give you a heads up. 26 has to say here that the citizens of this state shall have a right to keep and bear arms for their common defense, but the legislature shall have power by law to regulate the wearing of arms with the view to prevent crime. So wearing of arms, okay, so, and it said wearing, doesn't say anything about permits, right? Absolutely. And of course, you can't force people to bear arms, okay, it's 28. The citizens of this state shall be compelled to bear arms. No citizen of the state shall be compelled to bear arms, provided he will pay an equivalent to be ascertained by law. And I'm just trying to go down here. I see something pretty interesting. I think it's maybe all the way down. Involuntary servitude. That's the name of it. Yeah, 33, section 33. That slavery and involuntary servitude, except as punishment for a crime whereof the parties shall have been duly convicted, are forever prohibited in the state. So when you look at that, about the mandatory training, okay, to do constitutional carry, actually contradicts Article 1, Section 33 of the state constitution. So those like multiple sections you always got to be aware of, especially Article 1, because it's containing natural rights. So, and of course 24 of that element, the right to keep and bear arms. So you have to, so there's a lot of contradictions on what the, not 24, excuse me, 26, yeah, 26, my mistake. But one of the areas you got to look at, folks, that's why people need to look at the entire document itself before jumping to conclusions. But when, Governor Lee's rhetoric and even the reports about mandatory training and even fingerprints as incriminating yourself, we can use that as well. Fifth Amendment, or it'd be the Fifth Amendment, or hold on here. I should have threw that in there as well. One thing I should have done. So the fingerprints, that's like incriminating yourselves. And I'm going to see if I can find it right here. Yeah, that's Section 9. Article 1, Section 9. Yeah, it says here, to have a compulsory process for obtaining witnesses in favor of prosecution by indictment or presentment speedy public trial by a impartial jury of the county in which the crime shall have been committed, and shall not be compelled to give evidence against himself. So, yeah, it's in there, but I'm just giving you a partial thing on criminal prosecution. So, right there is another violation as well. So, there's multiple things in here, multiple sections of the Florida Constitution, of the Tennessee Constitution, and what Bill Lee said about constitutional carry is actually contradicting the volunteer state's Declaration of Rights. So there's some pros and cons in here, yes. It could be better, okay? But the bottom line is, my friends, Tennessee Constitution is supreme law, not what the governor's administrative bill has to say. Right to keep and bear arms is a natural right, no exceptions. And people have to take responsibility and have a higher standard? Absolutely, without a doubt. Learn these things. Train yourself. Take the courses. Firearm safety should be everyone's responsibility. The more you learn, the more you implement, the less you fear. And be more confident. That's how I see these areas. But, like I said, everything can be done by steps. Without a doubt. And you know what? That's pretty damn cool. So, you gotta look at the human element, and I see that, and that's okay. But always make it better. Always look at these discrepancies, and hopefully, if I can check out the bill, I'll bring you up to date. All right, my friends, that is it. I thank everyone for listening. Plus, feel free to download and share us throughout your social media networks. If you have any questions, comments, or something interesting you want to check out, whatever you do, please send your correspondence with decorum. Furthermore, I shall leave the footnotes of this episode on my Spreaker page. Once again, thank you for your time. Plus, always remember that demoniac resistance is healthy for the soul and can liberate humanity. Until next time, take care of yourselves. Keep on spreading the love, and may your guardian spirits be with you.